Welcome to Press Movie Channel. One of the more dramatic reveals as of late, in addition to the influx of Star Wars news and Indiana Jones trailers, has been the news that HBO is going back to the magical world of Harry Potter. Not with increasingly befuddling prequels with misleading titles, mind you, but with the name brand product itself. HBO plans to make the Harry Potter story all over again, this time as a TV series. The news itself has sparked dramatically different responses from different areas of the fandom, as is to be expected. Some fans are excited for a new interpretation and a return to the wizarding world, some are anxious over how the show will handle the book material, some object to the project in the first place, as a new adaptation of previously adapted material may offer very little beyond what the original adaptations already did. Every time a new adaptation of a beloved story comes around, there is an understandable amount of eye-rolling and concern about the myriad ways in which the production might mangle the world and the story that is near and dear to the hearts of many. If you need any reminder, just take a glance at the furor around the Rings of Power last year. What seems to be lost in the mad shuffle of pros and cons being thrown around in the wake of this news, though, is an important one to consider regardless of wherever readers may fall on this issue. As beloved as the movies may be, Harry Potter really should have been a TV series in the first place. Now we want to talk about the charm of the wizarding world was what made Harry Potter so appealing. The Harry Potter stories are the most absurdly successful series of books ever written, with approximately 500 million copies sold worldwide. But the most popular and successful of those books remains Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first entry in the series. The first book is the shortest of all 7 books, and is arguably the lightest in plot, compared to the others, yet it was the entry that made readers fall in love with the wizarding world in the first place. There is an important point to take away from this: for any reader and for any adaptation, it was the setting and the charm of the environment that made the stories appealing. The idea that a secret and magical wizarding world full of unknown marvels was coexisting invisibly alongside the everyday world that we all inhabit sparked the imagination of an entire generation of readers who wistfully desired to wake up on their 11th birthdays with a letter in green ink delivered by owl post. The wizarding world combined the appeal of the foreign and the familiar into an intoxicating combination that became difficult to resist. Readers were drawn into a world in which the strange and half-remembered fairy tale elements about witches, wizards, potions, and magic became a practical concern of everyday life, a foreign element masterfully combined with the aspects of school life and growing up that gave the story an almost universal appeal. We believe a Harry Potter TV series can capture that charm better than movies ever could. The original appeal of the stories is exactly what makes a TV series a much better format for Harry Potter than a film series would be. As popular as the films were, in fact, aside from the first movie, they rarely delivered on either the entertaining school environment or the charm of the wizarding world. The failure of that aspect is not necessarily the fault of the filmmakers, either. The minor moments of school drama and magical charm inevitably need to be glossed over for the sake of the larger plot in the context of a movie. But again, that is precisely why a TV series is a much better format for the story than movies are. A series has 3, 4, or even 5 times more space to tell the story than a 2-hour movie does, and that means that the school and magical environment, and all of those minor charming moments that made the books appealing in the first place, don't have to be cut for the sake of time. The major plot points and drama can be addressed on the scale of a season, but no single episode has to bear the entire burden of the plot. That gives room for each individual episode to focus more on precisely those elements that made the story appealing from the start. The teenage nerves and drama over grades, sports, friends, and enemies, the thrill of breaking school rules, the depth of the friendship with Hagrid, and the wild hijinks of Fred and George can all finally be given their due. A Harry Potter TV series can finally hit the notes the movies missed. As popular as the movies were, part of the fanbase's criticism of characters and plot points throughout the storyline is due to the fact that character arcs from the books were given short shrift in the films, or entirely dropped. Rufus Scrimgeour as Minister of Magic was a fascinating counterpoint to Cornelius Fudge, but while he was clearly more competent, he had just as many problems as Fudge did, and the comparison between the two becomes a defining character moment for Harry in the books. That having been said, Scrimgeour, Bill Nighy, is a glorified footnote in the movies, and he is hardly the most significant omission in the films. Some fans also objected to the ultimate romantic pairings of the protagonists, Harry, Daniel Radcliffe, marrying Ginny Weasley, Bonnie Wright, and Hermione, Emma Watson, and Ron, Rupert Grint, ending up together. Again, this is something that is primarily the fault of the character arc compression taken in the film's plot. Where Ron in the books was a true and loyal friend with an incisive sense of humor who occasionally became short-sighted and envious of his popular and famous friend, the films drifted away from that in later installments, ignoring the nuance and turning Ron into a short-tempered caricature of the Ron from the books. Ginny suffered from even worse treatment, mostly due to negligence of her character arc entirely. In the books, she became a much more important part of the main storyline as the story developed, and was a character who could joke about Harry having a dragon tattooed on his chest, stepping out of the shadow of her older siblings in a way that Ron never did. In the films, almost all of this was lost, and Ginny came across as much flatter than she did in the books because the plot mostly ignored her. This really only touches the surface, but suffice it to say that the important long-term character arcs are perhaps the most important way that a TV series can separate itself from the format of a film. The characters and their development do not have to be compressed for time, and the format of a TV show has the promise of being able to deliver on precisely all of those elements that made the books popular from the start: the charm of the world, the nostalgic familiarity of growing up and school life, and the familiarity of characters that capture the nuance of the books that audiences know and love. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe Press Movie channel.